Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to GRL. Once again, it is round 3 of Season 5, and we are here in Japan for the Japanese Grand Prix. Suzuka, one of the most historic racetracks on the Formula 1 calendar. Could it prove up a little bit of a classic? We'll wait and see. 27 laps, of course, await us, but we've got a few minutes left in qualifier for that. My name is Darren Thacker. Joining me in the commentary booth, once again, is Mr. Ashley, or Silent Thief, to those who may know him as Silent Thief. Good evening, Ashley.
Good evening, Dara. Thank you for welcoming me in like that. It's Silent Fit. I don't really go by that very much. I doubt many people know me by that name, so either one is fine. Not a problem.
We'll go with Ashley then.
Yes,
Easier for me to remember.
Historic Japan.
Here we are. It's round 3. We were at Singapore last week. We're at Japan this week. We were at Bahrain a couple of weeks ago. So we've got a couple of races in the books in the championship. We'll be at Spain, then Austria, then France in the coming weeks. But yes, I think Atom is in the chat, and he's calling you his former CRL teammate, Ashley. So,
Oh yes, we were. It was briefly, shortly lived.
Short but sweet.
And you know what? I think I say very shortly lived. I think it was about 2 races, but I think I did myself justice in those 2. I think I proved the point and showed that I can go racing if I want to.
So, you've always been able to go racing, Ashley.
You will. I'm always
Come
ready
on.
to go racing, Dara. You're right, actually, Dara. I'm always ready to go racing because I have been racing a lot recently, just not on Formula 1, it's been on iRacing.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, it has been around this circuit. It's been GT3s at Suzuka this week, and I've been loving it. So,
Nice.
yeah, I've been enjoying that quite a lot.
Nice. Oh, obviously, Daytona's could happen as well, in iRacing and in real life, so... iRacing on the up, isn't it? Anyway, we are at Suzuka. Of course, round 3. Blade, of course, was the winner last time out. He is, of course, in Japan currently. I believe it's 5:49 a.m. for him. And he is going to be driving around Suzuka. He will become the first non-fully European driver, or first driver not in Europe, to win back-to-back races at the same track if he wins this evening. But the likes of Delta, B Ford, and Dylan Baxter are going to be hoping to put a stop to that. Mizzy as well. But as we get onto the track, we've got a few minutes left of qualifying, and currently it is Mizzy who is on provisional pole. I think we're just about to start to see some of the final runs get underway. But you can see the order here. I mean, Mizzy and Welsh Jack are 1 and 2. Paolo is 3rd. Sousa and Blades 4th and 5th. But, I mean, it is tight in that mid-back, isn't it? Down from Blades all the way down to, you'd say, Assume Basher. It's only a couple of tenths there.
Yeah, it's not a huge gap between them there, is it? So, yeah, like you say, the jump from 4th to 5th is where it sort of begins, and then it does tighten up right in the middle there. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I think a lot of these drivers still have a bit of time left in that lap. I think a lot of these laps are very much banker laps that they've just managed to get in. And obviously make sure they've got a time on the board, and they'll be ready and raring to go for their final run. So as you can see, pretty much everybody in the pits right this second, 3 minutes left on the clock, so they'll all be putting on a fresh set of soft tyres, getting out of the pit lane and getting ready for their final run. So wait, it could be shaken up by quite a bit yet, Dara. I wouldn't say that is the final sort of times that everyone is putting in, but well, Mizzy's put in a pretty good lap, almost 2 tenths ahead of Welsh Jack. You'd have to argue, you know, he's got a good shot at taking the pole there, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen him have pace so far this season. It's just whether he can carry that through today. Of course, very different track here than Singapore last week. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Sivertson's on a lap here, and the Mercedes just about gets out of the way. Was worried that the Ferrari driver might have got blocked. But we will. But I mean, either way, Sivertson gets through, which he'll be very pleased about. Through the hairpin they come. Rear end careful about it stepping out. Stays very nicely in check, and he will carry on down towards Spoon. But I mean, we can see a lot of drivers through Sector 1, through Dunlop actually. Yeah, they're on their outlap. It's going to be a little bit hectic, I think, down into the Casio Triangle.
Yeah, it is. It almost looks like a car park on the mini-map there, doesn't it? They're all lining up and waiting to find that perfect space and opportunity to jump in. They're waiting for that old lady to just pull on out, and then they'll hop on in and no doubtly annoy someone in the process. But just finishing off Sivertson's lap here, he's up by the 6,000ths of a second, the smallest margins, but it could still be improved. In through the Casio Triangle he goes, and over the finish line, what's it going to be? He's improved by quite a bit, 2 tenths in the end, and 7th position at the moment. It's not a bad lap from Sivertson there. What do you think, Darren?
No, I think Siverson's showing some good pace this season, hasn't he? Really. Been really quite good
He
at
has.
getting the times in and just being consistent in the races. I mean, looking at particularly Bahrain, I mean, until that unfortunate incident in the final sector, he was right up there. He was fighting for the win. So, yeah, he really has shown a little tick up in pace this season compared to last. Of course, formerly was SLR Torpen. But yeah, good things so far from Sivertsen early on in the season. And with a long season, you can try and build some momentum, can't you?
You can, and you know, you're right. He has made that step up, and he obviously needed to. He come up from Div 3 up to Division 1 here, so he's skipped over 2, if my memory serves me well, and he's made the transition actually quite nicely. I think he's slotted himself in amongst the mid pack, top end of the mid pack, really. So don't count him out for maybe a race win later on in the season if he can keep that momentum going. But only time can tell with these things, of course, Sarah. But yeah, Sivertsen, he's been doing pretty well so far, keeping himself steady and going, which isn't a bad thing in Formula One, especially so early on. And that's a retirement. Is that in the pit lane, Dara, or was that on track?
I think he was in the pit lane.
See. Is it in the pit lane? Oh,
Yeah, there's a Williams dot in the pit lane, so I presume it's
it must be
there.
Gibson.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll have to see. Time has now expired on this qualifying session. So we'll look at FRC Souza here. He's currently nearly half a second up here. This could be a ridiculously quick lap time. Into the 1 minute 25s, though, through the Casio triangle, through the right, through the left, and then out towards the line, of course, keeping it as tight as he possibly can to that wall. Can Souza take pole? He's got it provisionally. 25.8 is what he has set. Meanwhile, in behind, the likes of Sam, he's not got a time on the board. Goes P7 with his one and only timed lap. We will look back for the likes of, we'll go with Paulo Afonso here, who's a couple of tenths up as he crosses, comes into the final sector. Jacob goes P5. Sivertsen came into the pit lane. B4 jumps up to 6th. Can Paulo Afonso snatch pole? No, but he goes up into P2. He gets very, very close. Partik's going to get to the line. Goes P15 here as we see one of the McLarens. It's going to be Jobbo. He can only stay in P20. Just watch the tower. Mizzy stays P3. Welsh Jack is coming to the line. Can he take pole? No, he stays in P4. We'll go back down to Blades here, but he's not improving through the middle sector. A little bit of an improvement there from Ashim Basha, and we see another big improvement from Corey up to P5. Round the final corner though, Blades towards the line. Currently P9 only jumps up into P8. Can't make a big improvement, and it was an improvement in the end from TNS Sora to go P12. There is one driver left, and Delta gets a 5-place grid penalty. Ooh, I don't know what that's for. That was definitely a glitch. Either way, Snup's going to into the pit lane. Ooh, Delta gets another one. Oh, this is a glitch.
Going on there, what's happening?
This is a glitch,
isn't it? Oh yeah, look at that. Look, you ride on board with him. He's in a pack of about 4 or 5 cars. That's obviously the computer AI just taking them round. Oh, that's very weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think we might have a restart here. Yeah, we might have a restart here.
We had to do it the other day on Friday. The other league that I do there, so it's not unheard of course. It's annoying, though, isn't it? Just
it's really annoying.
Puts a dampener on things, it's like pouring water over a flame. Just yeah, goes a bit soggy and there's no
it goes out. It goes out.
It goes out. It does. It goes out.
Right, well, here are your results from qualifying. Mark Souza, FRC Souza now, and Paulo Afonso 1 and 2. Mizzy is going to start from P3, then it's Welchnak and Corey. Jacob, B4, Blaze, and Delta in the top 9. We will have a restart so that Delta can start from 9th. Shaq will be 10th. Sam, Sora, Sivertsen, Basher, Dylan Baxter, not Bill and Daxter, sorry. Dylan Baxter, Partik, Jack Matt Gibson, Snipes, and Jobbo, the McLarens. I mean, they were an early tip for a possible title here in Division 1, but they really haven't lived up to expectations just yet. But, as we are, this is what the grid will be. We're going to have a lobby restart, which means that we'll just leave the calendar up for you guys when we'll be back when the lobby is restarted. But stick around because we've got 27 laps of Suzuka. And this sounds like a very tight field. So stick around, we will be back very shortly. Alright, well, welcome back, everybody. We are here again at Suzuka, again. And, yeah, 27 laps ahead of us. Everyone's restarted. Hopefully the grid's correct. I mean, if it's not, well, we'll go again and we'll wait again. But, yeah. Who's going to win, Ashley?
If it's not, it's a real big problem because I don't know how they can mess it up so bad. It should be fairly straightforward, I would imagine. But all they've got to do now, if the drivers are listening, is remember your setups, remember your tyre strategy, and you're golden. I can't tell you the number of times, Dara, that I've gone into a league race and we've had to do something like this and I've forgotten to put the setup on. I tell you what, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's painful when you do it because you don't get the sympathy and you don't get a restart.
No, you don't.
You made your mistake, you lie in it. You made your bed and you lie in it. So it's, yeah, let's hope they all remember.
Well, you don't really get a restart if the game's screwed someone over. If you've screwed yourself over, tough luck. Like,
yeah, it really is. Yeah, mess yourself up, it's your own goddamn fault. If it's the game, then well, you may get a bit more leeway from it, but nonetheless, it's even then though. I can remember league races back before you were here, Dara, before you were born even. No, not quite that far back. I can remember league races like back in sort of 15, 14 when the games were, well, 15 especially when the game was absolutely broken, and even if the game messed you up, and this was also before you could rejoin. If you disconnected, that's your race done. You're gone. You're out.
yeah, exactly.
It's very frustrating. I can remember the first league race of 2014 of the brand new game on the brand new Xbox One. All excited. UCRC, here we come. I was ready and raring to fight for my back-to-back championship. Got into Australia, ready to go. Disconnect. Great. I'll let you start.
Right, 5 red lights here. It's 27 laps ahead of us, and the lights are out, and we are away. It's Mark Souza who gets a very good start off of the line. Paolo Afonso is going to be trying to look to make the move, but Mark Souza covers him off into turn 1, and Mizzy will be trying to defend from Welsh Jack, who's steaming up the inside as they make their way now through the first sector for the opening time, side by side. But there are a couple of drivers. Oh, lots of drivers at the back. There's a big crash. Blades is one of those drivers. Bless him. He got up early. We've not yet got a safety car, I don't think. No, everything's green now once again, but big drama at the start. But Mark Souza on the soft tyres. He's the only one on that soft tyre. He needs to get away quickly, doesn't he?
He does. He needs to scarf our way down the road and try and build that gap up. As we say it probably every single week, I'm sure you're all fed up of hearing it. He needs to get out that DRS zone, because if you are in it, then it's very easy to follow. The only thing I will say though, Darren, there's only one DRS zone today, so maybe, and I think Suzuka is one of those tracks that does suit it very well, where you don't have to be in it, because if you do have the skill and the capability, you can catch up to the car ahead, because one, the DRS zone here is very short, and two, there's only one of them, so it very much does come down to car setup, skill, and sort of tactfulness in terms of your battery saving and everything such as that. As that's the Ferrari of Civitson going up the inside in the 130R corner. There goes the Red Bull of Sora though, down into the chicane, almost clattered the Alpine. Civitson now trying to fight back into the undercut of that corner. The Alpine of FRT Sam has not given it up yet. They're side by side, definitely starting straight in towards turn 1. Are they going to go too wide? Maybe 3? They're definitely going to go too wide. Is Civitson and Baxter still side by side now in towards the S's, and Civitson wins out on the day. Baxter looks as though he backed out of it right there at the end, but yeah, that was got all a bit feisty into the chicane there at the end, as we've got a few cars now into the pits.
Yeah, I think they might need some repairs at the back there. There was that big incident at turn 1. I didn't really see what went on there, but you know, there was some kind of incident as they made their way through. But I mean, the top two look like they are away at the moment. 1.8 seconds is the gap between Paolo Afonso and Welsh Jackie. 1.9. It's growing all the time. And I mean, if they can try and get up the road, yes, you know, you can try and get back within the DRS. But it's going to be difficult for everybody else to try and get towards the front too. Especially if Moxie's going to be early. He's going to get that additional helping of an undercut.
Yeah, he will. The only thing I would say here is Welsh Jack. I'm looking at the tyre compounds. You mentioned Sousa's on the softs, which is, yes, he gets the better getaway. And I think, to be honest, here you go, Mizzy up the inside before they even get to 130R. We see Welsh Jack try and make the move back. No, not quite. He's given that up for the moment. I think he maybe realises the different tyre strategies here playing a factor. As yeah, we have got a nice differentiation of tyre strategies this evening. But yeah, but back to what I was saying is Sousa's obviously got the softs on the car. He'll get a nice initial phase here at the beginning, but obviously they will taper off fairly quickly. But I think, you know, Paolo Afonso, great name. He is obviously going to be sat up within the slipstream of Sousa, and he's just going to take all of that advantage that Sousa is getting as well, albeit on a slightly more harder compounded tyre. So he's getting the benefit of the softs without being on it, I think. And I think that's where Welsh Jack's strategy is going to differ, as he is on that hard tyre. So yeah, the gap's there, but I think, you know, the difference in compounded tyre is quite substantial here at the circuit. So we'll see how this plays out deeper into the Grand Prix there. It's only lap 3.
Yeah, I mean, with it only being lap 3, of course, you've just got to try and find your feet. Especially, I mean, we've had a little bit of a break, haven't we, as well, with the restart. So, you know, a little bit of time for the drivers to just try and consider what they're, you know... I think what I'm trying to say is it gives drivers time to think, and you can start to overthink a little bit, or you can just try and compose yourself a little bit more after qualifying. So different drivers may have found themselves be affected differently by the restart, but as it is, Mark Sousa and Paolo are away, so they clearly haven't been affected too hard, but Mizzy is going to be doing his best to try and get back inside that winner. We'll look at Welsh Jack, see if he can try and overtake Mizzy, but I don't imagine he wants to, even if he could. So... I mean, just picking up the DRS every lap, it just does feel like Mizzy's faster for now. So, you'd have thought you could stay in behind. Oh, was that Paolo Afonso? It was Delta and Jacob going. So was our Delta getting through on Jacob. Jack lead up to P7 now. And the person who inadvertently caused the restart is enjoying life from 9th to 7th now.
Yeah, he is. As you just said, he's made up 2 positions here in the opening couple of laps, which is good news for him. He is your current championship leader, and I'm sure he'll look to try and extend that today if he can, or at least, you know, keep the lossage to a minimum. I think one of his rivals, B Ford, is the next car up the road, so it's going to be pretty good for Delta if he sticks there or thereabouts. But of course, he'll want to improve and climb his way up the grid a little bit further, and he's well within his rights to do so. As in, you know, he is right there. He's in amongst it. So keep an eye on him. We'll see how he gets on, of course. I think Welsh Jack could be getting a bit impatient here. He's closed that gap to Mizzy, who almost got it up to the 2nd mark. I just saw it then through Spoon Curve, and I'm like, whoa, under a couple of attempts. So we could see a move on here down towards 130R. Quick flick left of the steering wheel, flat out corner in a Formula 1 car. It's absolutely fantastic to take the corner into the Casio chicane. He's going to sit behind for the moment, but here comes the DRS. Never mind, there's a move for the lead. Paolo Afonso takes the lead away from Sousa, and after 5 laps, maybe those soft tyres are starting to give up the ghost a little bit, as Welsh Jack does find his way past Mizzy in towards turn 1. I'm just looking back at that Aston Martin. Corey, he's looking very racy, and he's just closing that gap back up to them as well. And if these two begin to fight, don't count Corey, he'll take if the opportunity arises to him. You can bet he will.
I think it's interesting, really, that Welsh Jack has got through. Maybe he does think that those hards are going to work up a little bit more now that the 4 or 5 or 4.5 laps or so have now passed. But we'll have to see. He's not really gaining away at all. Gap is still under a quarter of a second here. Mark Sousa, though, yeah, I think those soft tyres might start to go off a little bit harder than the mediums will. So we'll see if Paolo Afonso can get away. She bashes surely a retirement. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's him done for the evening. And not a great start. It's just compounded everything. He was last anyway. And he is retired from the race. But, I mean, Mark Sousa could start falling back here towards Welsh Jack if he can't get through on Paolo Afonso. And Mizzy, I think, is going to look very... he's going to look... very racy down into turn 1 with the DRS, of course, trying to get through on Welsh Jack once again, because he's not far away. He's a 10th. He's still really, really close. Welsh Jack's lap, where he's tried to pull away on those hard tyres, really hasn't worked out, and we might very well see him move for 3rd place once again. For the lead, though, I think Paolo Afonso is going to be safe here from Mark Sousa as they run down towards turn 1. Yeah, not quite close enough, but Mizzy's going to take the inside line.
Here comes Delta on B Ford as well into turn 1. Delta takes that racing line on the inside of B Ford, slips it down the inside, very nicely done as well. I think put those medium tyres to good use, slight bit extra grip over B Ford, and that does push him up into P6, and he's now right behind his teammate of Corey. They'll go racing on together. Sorry to cut in there, Taro, just a very good move for the championship leader at this point.
It's absolutely fine. You gave me a chance to scran a pinball there, so no worries. Oh, B4 though, back up the inside of Delta, and he's got that position back done, or has he? Delta up the inside of the hairpin, but on the exit, he will be B4 with the traction, and he retakes P6 here.
Yeah, he's taking it back. It sounds like you're having a bit of food, so I'll let you munch on down. But I did want to. It's just a random thing. It was I was going to point out the camera angle of the hairpin. It is fantastic to watch cars go side by side through that corner, and obviously we got to see a spectacle of two cars there going side by side. I'd argue these two will be championship rivals throughout this season. For the moment though, B Ford getting the position back, as that is Welsh Jack, who's just gone off into the chicane. I don't quite know what's happened there. You don't see many people go that way around that corner, sort of off to the right. Normally they go left if they do mess it up, but that puts down a few positions. But never mind, Delta's going to go for the move on B Ford once again, down the inside into turn one. They've both managed to get past Corey there. This is now a battle for 4th place, and Delta has got the move done up in front of B Ford, and Corey's not given this up yet. He's right behind B Ford, trying to make sort of an impression, I think, on the Mercedes man. He's all over his rear view mirrors through the S's here, and I think here we go. We made him move into the Degners. You don't often see this very much. Round the outside goes Corey. He's kept it within the racing line. So has B Ford, and that's a move you don't see very often. Fantastic bit of racing. Well done to both drivers, and that was a brilliant move for P5 for Corey.
It was an incredible move, and the fact that Delta has worked his way up to 4th now is incredible. You know, you've got. He started in P9, he's gone up to P4 in a DRS train where it's not easy to overtake, and I mean, he's still got a very nice battery intact as well, so the championship leader continuing to show very, very good form at the moment. Currently up in P4, but he's got work to do to try and catch for the top 3. Mizzy inside that DRS of Alfonso now. So, but 2.3 seconds is that gap. Lots of work to do here for Delta, but he can start to carry his teammate up towards this front train. Will Corey want to overtake his teammate? I don't think he should. Doesn't mean he won't give it a go. I think he very well might here if he can, but Delta using a little bit of ERS just to ensure that he stays well clear of his teammate, and they will all carry on single file down into turn 1 as they start lap 8 here. Oh no, very deep from Corey. Very, very deep from Corey. Loses 1. Oh, what's Corey doing? He's disconnected? What's happened to Corey?
It's like he's pulled off. It's like he's got mechanical problems, which is not a thing you can get in esports.
I think he might have been too scared to pull onto the racing line in front of people.
Well, yeah, he didn't want to get a penalty. It's smart in that sense, but you've just lost a handful. He's 12 positions down now, 17th on the road. Yeah, that's a costly error for him after what a sensational move he pulled last lap, and he now finds him down in P17. That's very costly for Corey.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's lots of the race still to go, isn't there? Of course, we're not even a third of the way through here, but I mean, these are big moments. Welsh Jack is further down the order than he was. He's down in P13 now. Corey down in P17. Big winners. Was there a moment there?
Sorry, there was a big moment. I didn't want to butt in too much. Partick getting a huge tank slapper out of Spoon Curve, giving Welsh Jack the opportunity to now go up the inside through 130R. Partick's going to fight him back into the chicane. They're side by side through the Casio triangle, now running down towards the start-finish line. They're still side by side. The position hasn't been sort of confirmed as of yet. I think Welsh Jack just about getting the better grip out of the exit. And yeah, Partick's going to have to settle in for 12. But yeah, a huge tank slapper on out of Spoon Curve. And it was caused him to lose, I think, about 4 or 5 positions from that. He now finds himself down in P12. He's still up on his initial starting position, but that's not what he wanted, of course.
And in all that, we saw Sam go down the order. I'm not too sure why, but he got caught up in a bit of an incident. So the likes of Gibson are really winning this race in terms of positions gained. Gibson is 8 places up at the moment. Dylan Baxter up 7, Simpson up 6, Delta up 5, Snipes and Jobbo up from the back, 13th and 14th at the moment. So there are some guys that are doing well, given the circumstances. Nearly a third of the way through this race now. And it is Sousa from Alfonso from Mizzy, 1, 2, and 3. And Delta is losing a little bit of time as we go through, but it's Delta and B-Ford next to each other on track here, which could be the interesting battle, as B-Ford is the only driver on hards in the top 8 here, so he's got that advantage, you'd say, for him.
Yeah, you'd argue it's an advantage, but it could also be a bit of a disadvantage. He's going to have to go racing in the latter half of this race, providing no safety cars come into play. So obviously everyone else is going to pit before him. So when we do get that crossover period between, in the pit stop phase of this race, B Ford is really going to hammer it. He's going to have to hammer in the laps. And well, looking at this, he may even go for the move on Delta now. He's right up alongside. He has got the move done. DRS helping him along. And there he goes, and on his way up into 4th position. Obviously, he'll now get the chance to maybe try and chase down Mizzy if Delta doesn't get the move back. But through the S's, it's very much single file. You don't get much of an opportunity to overtake unless there is a bit of a mistake up ahead of you. So no, I think B4 will hang on to that for the time being. So yeah, P4 is B4, Delta down to P5 once again. But they're still racing hard at it. But the Ferraris looking very tasty, trying to line up something behind. They're sitting in file, just following along, but they'll obviously pounce given the opportunity in that prancing horse outfit. But yeah, 3.6 the gap there, as you mentioned. It is increasing from the top 3, and I think first and second seem to be trading places somewhat. Paolo Afonso back into the lead, Sousa now back down to second place, but Mizzy just biding his time in third.
And this is going to be exciting, isn't it, realistically? Just to see whether people can try and take up the mantle or not. I mean, Delta still looks very close again, but, I mean, without a safety car, I struggle to see how these top 3 are going to be caught at the moment. They really are pulling away at quite a rate at the moment, so... yeah, it'll be interesting just to see. Lap 11, of course, starting now. Can Sousa get back through on Paolo Afonso? No, won't do it this time around. Delta, however, will go for it, I'm sure, here on B Ford. Actually, he won't. He'll stay in behind B Ford and just sit in the slipstream. Jacob going a little bit deep as they run their way through 1 and 2. But it's still the top 3 in the same order they were, and pretty much everyone else in the same order they were as well. But I think pit stops are going to start to come into play in a couple of laps' time.
Delta's gone a little bit wide through the end of the S's there. I don't think it's going to compromise him too much, but I think Jacob maybe got a bit excited in the seat of that Ferrari. But yeah, he's having to hold station. It wasn't too big of a mistake, just a tiny bit wide towards Dunlop corner through turn 6. But for the moment, Delta's fine. He's still holding P5, so he'll be right with that. But yeah, the gap's still increasing. As you're saying, B Ford unable to close that up. So I think those front 3 really are beginning to run away with it at the moment. Paolo Afonso, Sousa, Mizzy holding out the podium slots. And yeah, they're making this almost look easy at the moment. This is the top division of GRL, and yeah, the fact that they've managed to pull a 4-second gap to the next set of drivers, and bear in mind the next set of drivers is 4th all the way down to 14th without a break of a second, is very impressive. Shows you the caliber of drivers we have here, how close they are matched time-wise, as Sousa, after 12 laps, has finally had enough of those softs and comes into the pits. So he's really going to have to put a squirt on now in order to maintain that sort of, well, provisional lead, really, you would argue, by the time he comes back into the fray, as we just saw there get a move on Dylan Baxter for 7th position.
We have, but like you said, I mean, I think this is why strategy comes into play in these top tiers in any kind of league, because You've got to have a good strategy underneath you. You can have the pace, fantastic, but if you get stuck in a train, like a lot of these guys are, you've got to work out a way of out-strategizing everybody else. And that is why higher divisions are more influenced by safety cars, by strategy decisions, than in lower tiers. Of course, when the gaps are bigger, if you make a little error on strategy, you don't really get punished as much. We see Sora and Civics side by side now. Oh, no! What was that about safety car? There's a virtual.
We may be getting one. Ooh,
virtual.
there's a virtual.
As Sora and Simpson get out of there, contact between the two of them, they both lost their front wing, and they will both get onto a different compound attire, I'm sure. When they pit here, there, I think Sora had to get there. Oh, we got a full safety car now.
Full safety car. There we go. Just as we mentioned it. I tell you what, though, this really does throw a spanner in the works for Sousa. All he had to do was wait for one more lap, and it would have been perfect for him. But unfortunately, that is the racing gods at their worst, you would argue, in his case anyway. But I'm sure we'll see a flurry of action now into the pit lane. Who's going to go onto what tyre, Dara?
I think they're all going to go onto hards for mediums and mediums for on the softs. Delta 5-second speeding, that is an unforced error. Especially under safety car, such an unforced error. Where will Mark Sousa come out? That's the question. Jobbo has stayed out here on his medium tyres, not too sure why. Afonso, Mizzy. Oh, they're going to be the only two ahead of Sousa, so it hasn't really affected Mark Sousa too much here. Delta and B4
No,
are
he's
out.
got away with that.
Yeah, everyone's come out in pretty much the order they were, so... Yeah, I mean, Jobber's just going to get swallowed up here, though. That's the only issue. I think there could be a collision, but we will just have to wait and see if how well this goes when they try and get through.
I want to know what's going through his mind right now. Why? I mean, if you were Jobbo here, Zara, why would you not come into that pit lane?
I don't know. I'm confused as well.
I can't see a reason behind. The only reason I could possibly think is he's trying to help maybe his teammate, and if he can maybe hold these guys up a bit, obviously, you know, within the the confines of the rule book, all of that stuff. If he can hold maybe the front guys up a bit and help his teammate move further up the order, I could maybe get behind it and understand it. But he's just this to me is just basically, you know, as I said earlier, gave you the. This is just putting a glass of water over your candle, and just putting it out. You're not contributing anything here. You're ruining your race, in my opinion. I don't know how. You know, maybe he's got a master plan. I don't know, but I don't see the point here with this.
I mean, the safety car really has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, isn't it? Especially for the guys who were on the hards. I mean, medium should get to the end, but they're just not going to be as nice. You've lost that advantage that you had, really, of towards the end of the race of gaining time. But I mean, Jobbo might pit this lap. There's a strong possibility Jobbo pits this lap. If he doesn't pit this lap, he's staying out and he'll get swallowed up like a pill. But let's see, will Jobbo come in? Will he stay out? Yeah, he's coming in.
Yeah, he's in. Okay, fine. All right then. But that's still going to put him down to
P16.
Well, at least 16th.
Yeah.
He can't. He's still losing positions. I still don't get the thought. I understand he was right next to his teammate on the circuit when they were probably coming into the pits, because I think they were very much side by side. But even then, I think if you're smart about it, just back off just a tiny bit, well within the rule set, because you can do it without being sort of easily penalised, if you like. I know technically you can't, in a sense of, rules are rules. You have to stick to the speed limit. You can't back off, all that stuff. However, the rules are there's a grey area in there which you can get away with it, and I'm very surprised that maybe he didn't try that, just to sort of stick with his teammate a bit better. But he's keeping well within the rule book, so he's a bit of an angel, a bit of a good boy. In that sort of sense, unlike me, you can clearly tell I'm vaguely up for debate on whether I'm good or not. But however way you want to look at it.
Right then, yeah. I mean, halfway through now in this race. Paolo Afonso, Mizzy, Sousa, 1, 2, and 3. Will they be able to break away again? Not too sure, because Delta has shown some good pace, hasn't he? But that 5 seconds is going to hang over him like an axe, really, isn't it? If he can't break away from any kind of train behind him, I mean, he's going to find himself falling out of the top 10, really, isn't he?
He is. It's going to definitely loom over him like a dark cloud on a summer's day, and he won't be happy with it. So yeah, he's only got himself to blame, though. I will, you know, on the one hand, I will say to him, it is quite easy to do here at this circuit. Not to say, you know, because everyone else has managed to do it without getting the penalty, but safety car in this lap, but he was the only one able to do it. It doesn't look like the front. It doesn't look like Paolo Afonso is slowing down. Looks like he was still going for it right up behind the safety car just for a moment. Clearly, I'm wrong, because there is a big gap between them now. So as soon as that safety car is into the pits, Afonso can go whenever he likes, as he does somewhat become the pace car. Bit of a gap though, back to Sousa and Delta though. I don't know if that's going to stay like that. Round away. I think they've gone there.
I think Sousa was trying to get a bit of a jump on the restart, but it's really backfired on here. Here comes Delta down towards turn 1, and B-Ford as well is looking up the inside here of his championship rival Delta as they come through turn 1 and turn 2. The medium tyre shot Mercedes car is going to get through here on Delta up into P4, and that could be a very, very important move for B-Ford as they work their way up through the first sector. Paolo Afonso gets away nicely. There are 12 and a half laps to go. But the game really is afoot, isn't it?
It is, Watson. It certainly is. I don't know why I'm. Oh God! I'll stop. I'll stop. No, you're absolutely right, Darragh. It certainly is. Restart there, well and underway, and everyone is still facing in the right direction, which is good news. Of course, we do want to see good side-by-side action, such as Welsh Jack getting a move on FGE Jacob through the hairpin there, so he makes it up to 7th position. Nice restart from him, as Snipes now looking to make a move into Spoon Curve, up on the inside of Partick through the first part of it. I think he already has the move done. Yes, he does. So by the time they make the exit, he's already up into P9. As I think now, Blade is going to try and make a move on Partick as well. Doesn't seem to be getting a great restart, has Partick, through 130R, named after the radius of the corner, as they all technically are around this circuit. However, we do have official names. Well, the official names are the numbers of the radius of the corner, but they obviously have other names as well, as we do know. Who's that? Welsh Jackie's making another move already. On Dylan Baxter up to P6. He's made 2 positions in about 3 corners as Welsh Jack. He finds his way in P6 past Dylan Baxter. He's now going to go chasing after Delta, who's just about, I think, hanging on to the back of B-Ford. As the front three, once again, they seem to be almost in a class of their own, those front three, don't they, Darragh?
They are, but I mean, B-Ford is keeping them on a tight leash at the moment here. It's Delta that is kind of struggling, it seems, a little bit at the moment. I mean, you forget that Welsh Jack was doing really, really well, wasn't he? And then he had that moment, all that spin, all that coming together. We're not too sure what happened into the gravel at the Casio Triangle, but now he's back up to P6, back to the guys he was fighting with at the time. So he is right where he would have been had he not made that error. Maybe a couple of positions lower, he might be still ruining whatever happened there, but back up to P6, the chances are present for him at the moment. I mean, the 5 second for Delta, I know we've only just come off of the safety car restart, but if we stay in this train, Delta's penalty is going to drop him all the way down to P16 here. That is out of the points scores, top 15 score points. So it's really, really costly for the championship leader. And it's an unfortunate error. Mizzy, though, going for the lead, though, on the inside of Paolo Afonso, will take the race lead here at Suzuka. Mark Sousa nearly coming up the inside of the Alfa Romeo driver while they were fighting. But as DRS has now been enabled, it's Mizzy who leads. But here comes Paolo Afonso, straight back on the Red Bull, not going to make it this time around. Welsh Jack, though, going past Delta. And behind, there's fighting with Sam and with Blade. Oh, there's contact. Oh, no, there's big contact. And that is going to be Gibson being caught up with Partick there, I think, as Blades may have come together with Gibson, I should say. Oh, no, with Partick. But, yeah, big moments here as Sam is trying to get through on Snipes. He was recovered a little bit to 10th. Blades as well, you got to remember, was right at the back of the start, was caught up in that big incident that I think cost a couple of them, particularly Basher, their chances in this race, but he's back inside the top 10 now.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good recovery drive, has Blade, and he certainly likes it here. He won it, of course, in Season 4, so we know he's got pace around this circuit. And yeah, he's putting in a fantastic recovery drive thus far, and it's still not over, so watch that space. I'm sure he'll make, or at least try to make, a few more positions in the closing stages of this Grand Prix. But yeah, it does look as though B Ford maybe has the number on these guys now. He's sort of, I think, maybe got his eye in a bit better as the race has gone on. And the front three not pulling away like they did before. Now that Beeford is the next guy on the road behind them, so he's right closed up on his teammate, almost pushing him around 130R. Is Beeford on Sousa, but he's certainly looking a bit racier, and he's actually now looking like he may make a move on his teammate, as we are going to have a move for the lead as well. Paolo Afonso back into P1, DRS helping him along as he retakes the lead from Mizzy. And Beeford, though, just following his teammate for the time being. Maybe they've got fairly similar setup to the car. Of course, they are in the same team, albeit equal performance as well. Everything equal, it can be quite tricky if you've got a similar setup car to actually make a move, as the top speeds will be about the same, everything else will be as well. So it can be fairly tricky at times, but Beeford looking pretty calm and quite confident at the moment. Let's just say that.
And he knows what to do, doesn't he, really? I mean, champion Season 3, runner-up Season 4, and currently, I believe, second in the championship Season 5. So he's always been there. I mean, for the last year, he's been there or thereabouts. And, yeah, it's gonna be interesting here just to see... just to see exactly how he plays this, to try and maybe get through on his teammate Mark Sousa, maybe hold back a little bit. We will just find out. Of course, nearly 2/3 of the way through this race now, but the train is as big as it ever was. Top 17 all hooked together with that DRS, as Mizzy's very close to Paolo Afonso on the run down into the chicane. And I think Mizzy will have a chance under turn 1, I was going to say, but he's lost a lot of time there. On the exit of the Casio Triangle, Partix had a spin. Hopefully that doesn't cause another safety car. As we see Mizzy do go for the lead, and he takes the lead up to P1 once again. Paolo Afonso, though, staying close, nearly hitting the rear end of the Red Bull driver there. But Sousa and Beeford are still very much in tow, and they are lurking around waiting for a mistake from these top guys.
Yeah, they very much are. Well, Welsh Jack included in that as well, I would say. I think it's Delta could be the weak coupling in the train. He's now 7/10 is the gap between him and Welsh Jack. He's still within that DRS zone, which is the vital important thing. But for the minute, he does look like he is the one struggling, as earlier he was the one that looked to be prevailing. So I wonder what has changed as this Grand Prix gotten further along. But yeah, you are right, Darren. Beeford is currently second in the drivers at 27 points, or 26. It's 27. No, it is 27. Baxter, though, currently P7 on the road. He's third with 26, so he's 1 point behind. So it's still tight at the top, but that's because he's only had 2 rounds that we've completed, so he can't get too far spread for the time being. But here we go. This could be the move for the Mercedes driver. Beeford sweeps up the inside through 130R and finally makes the move on his teammate of Sousa. He's finally had enough of following the sister Mercedes, and he's now made his way up to the podium step, and he'll look to hopefully go charging forward and catching the 2 front runners. Paolo Afonso, though, making a move on Mizzy once again, retaking the lead of this Grand Prix.
Mizzy is taking... Paolo is retaking the lead here, but Beeford lurking around. He knows what he needs to do. He's seen the fact that Delta's got a big 5-second penalty coming his way. Could drop him outside the top 10 here. So, big chance at points gaining on his championship rival. Mizzy, you'd have thought that Delta will probably still leave Suzuka as championship leader. But if you can close that gap to anything under 15, really, is touching distance. Of course, we've got such a long season. This is only the start, as you've mentioned. 13 more races after this, or 14 more races, I would say, after this one. So, it's very, very early days, but you always want to be on top in the championship, and Beeford is definitely going the right way about it here. Once again, not the best qualifying performance, but recovering incredibly well in the race. That's what he's known for, really, isn't it?
He is. He's an absolute race merchant, as I would word it. It almost reminds me of myself in a way. I always claimed that I was never one for qualifying, and I was always more of a race man. In that, I would very much like to, think that my race pace was where I shined most of all, as opposed to one lap qualifying pace. But and B Ford very much is the epitome of that as well. He's never been one. Oh, it's round for Souza. He's into the barrier at the pit lane. He's gonna have to go into the pit lane. He's got no choice. He's gone into the barrier side on. He had a slip out of the chicane there, and he's now having to pit. He's got no choice. He couldn't turn it round. He's going to have to put a new set of tyres on. He's down in 17th place. And look, just like that, 4th all the way to the back. I can't believe I just saw that. Normally you do that as a practical joke on your mate, but he's done it by mistake. And Sousa's had to take to the pit road.
It's not ideal, that is it, really? But at least he's still alive, but he's going to need a safety car in the next lap or two if he's got any hope at any kind of points in this race. And it just kind of relieves a little bit of pressure from B4, but now he's got Welsh Jack on the back of him. Don't count out Welsh Jack here for some form of podium, but Paolo Alfonso and Mizzi. I mean, this could get very heated towards the closing laps. B4 could sweep through here if the front two aren't careful. They've been very close to each other for the past, well, since the race started, really, but I think particularly in the last 10 laps or so. So Mizzi, he's got to be careful. Paolo Alfonso, got to be careful, because B4 will pounce if any mistake is made by the two of these guys. There will be 6 laps to go when they come back to the line. Paolo Alfonso, though, going for the outside line here on Mizzi, who just doesn't really find it, but a rear slide from the Alfa Romeo gives a sniff to the likes of B4 here. There's a little bit of a slide again from Mizzi on the exit of the final corner. We'll see him use the DRS to get ahead of Paolo Alfonso once again. But the mistakes look like they might just start to be creeping in here, actually.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. It looked like the rears had almost snapped a little bit there. As Alfonso went into the corner, he looked like he'd locked the rears on the braking phase of the turn. It just gave him a nice little tank slapper. It's brilliant to watch. Obviously, it's not very fast. It's not the fastest way around the circuit, sliding it, drifting it like that. But the only thing I will say is on these two sides is the tyre strategy. They're on the hards. B Ford, Welsh Jack behind on the medium compounder tyre. So they have got the within the back of their mind, they know that they've got the better tyre. It can be preserved a bit longer. It can go a bit longer than the guys behind them. Of course, they are right up there amongst it. But they effectively, when you think about it, the two guys behind actually have the quicker tyre at this point. Well, maybe not even at this point. I reckon we're maybe getting near to the crossover phase. So, and I would also say that at that point then, the likes of Delta, Baxter, Jacob behind B Ford and Jack, they're also on the hard compound tyre, so expect to see maybe in the last closing phases of this race, last few laps, we could see the two medium runners begin to drop off just a little bit as they struggle for grip.
Yeah, 5 laps to go then. A flapper to the end, and B Ford is as close as he ever has been. Not using that ERS, I'd say, just yet. Using the DRS to keep tabs with Mizzi as Alfonso retakes the lead again here. Lap 23 or 27. 5 to go. Dylan is ahead of Delta and Dylan are fighting, as well as Blades and Jacob. Blades now ahead of Jacob, so Blades is now the one really putting his foot down, trying to make moves where he can, and he's back inside the DRS here of Dylan Baxter, which is exactly what he needed to do to protect himself from Jacob when they come back to the main straight once again. But moves are starting to be brewing here. I mean, this is now whenever these guys in this race, they can't just carry on sitting behind forever. And if they want to make the moves, it's going to have to be soon.
It certainly is. It's crunch time now. We're in the closing stages. Less than 5 laps to go. 4 laps left. I think, is it 4 laps at the end of this one? Or am I mistaken? It could be 3. I can't remember. Either way, crunch time. Closing laps of the Grand Prix. Like you say there, moves have got to be made, because otherwise you're going to run out of time. But at least we do know how many laps are left, as well as the drivers, and we won't get cut short like the Daytona 24. But, moves do need to be made, and they're probably going to be starting very soon, I'm sure. Looking B Ford, he's still just trundling along behind, sticking within the DRS zones of the guys ahead, of course. I think Alfonso there actually making a little bit maybe of a mistake into the corner. Mizzi closed right up, but then on the exit, Paolo Alfonso able to just get the drive out of that Alfa Romeo. I don't know how he does it lap after lap. He does it very well, and he's just able to get the grip where he needs it and when he needs it to just help him defend a little bit from Mizzy behind. So I think it's going to be another lap in second place for Mizzy, unless obviously B Ford will put a scarper to that plan for him and take it away from him. But for the moment, they're just holding station as we do get into the last few laps. So wait for it to all kick off. Fireworks, I'm sure, will be about to set off and explode.
Yeah, yes, they will. You won't be able to see them very well, of course, with it being the daytime. But yeah, we'll have to see what parts of the track they do decide to explode, because turn 1, Casio Triangle, even down at the hairpin, all places where moves can be made here. So we'll have to see what will happen. Mizzy sat in behind Paolo this last lap with the DRS, maybe just waiting, knowing that he can probably take Paolo on the final lap here. So maybe just being careful with his time, biding, waiting, and just seeing what he can do at the end of the race. But B4 could put a stop to that. He's got enough DRS to really put a bit of pressure on Mizzy to have to go for the move here. Could put him into an uncomfortable position down into turn 1, but Mizzy's going to go for the move into the final chicane, and it's going to be always Paolo tries to do the cutback here, nearly takes out B4 as he does so. But does he have the DRS? Is this B4's chance? He doesn't. This is B4's chance to get through on Paolo Afonso here. It's going to be 3 wide. Oh, Paolo, that's a very late move. But B4 gets 1. He's going to get 2, is he? No, not quite. There's contact. Oh, no. And B4 is spun around. I think there was... B4 just slid a little bit wide there, didn't he? Into Mizzy. But that has given Paolo Afonso a free run at the lead. Welsh Jack is in second. Delta's third. But it could be Blaze promoted to third.
Where has Blade come from in all of this? He's sitting 4th, and he's now right up onto the podium spots almost. He's right up under Delta's gearbox, and well, with that penalty from Delta, this is provisional P3 for Blade. How has he done that? He's come out of nowhere to take this position as far as I can see it. Blade, a magnificent P4 at the moment after a miserable start to this Grand Prix for him. But yeah, that was I think that was very unfortunate for Mizzy and B4 into turn 1. It was a fantastic overtake, as I almost felt like Paolo Afonso very nearly put that Mercedes into the wall. Very Schumacher-esque, in my opinion. But there was a car's whip. He did go for it, and B4 almost pulled it off. So it was very unfortunate indeed. But yeah, just like I said, Dara, fireworks were about to be set off, and it looked like turn 1 was where the explosions happened. So it's still not over yet though. Welsh Jack within a 10th of Paolo Afonso as we get into the next DRS zone.
Yeah, I mean, Welsh Jack wasn't facing the right way at one point in this race, and he could still be on for the win here. 2 laps to go. I think it's probably smart just to sit and wait here if you're Welsh Jack, and yes, he will. He will sit and wait. Delta's in behind him, but that 5 seconds going to cost him dear. Dylan Baxter ahead of Jacob as they work their way through turn 1. But yeah, I mean, it looked like, I mean, B4 was squeezed to the inside, wasn't he? But then when they came into turn 1, it did just look like B4 just had a bit of a drift wide into Mizzy. There wasn't really much that the Red Bull could do. And yeah, I mean, dramatic moments. B4, of course, out in the final lap in Singapore last week, and now in the closing stages in Japan. A collision with Mizzy has put him down into P11. So big moments in this championship battle. Early on, really, in the season.
It is, and you know, if it comes down to the wire, he'll look back at these moments and think, why on earth did I do that? But we don't know how that's going to end up because it's still early on and anything can happen. So, but yeah, big moments for B Ford, and I think, you know, it sort of just came about really. The corner just closes up in that first turn. Of course, you've got the initial turn in. It is very much 2 corners in one, but you do take it as one, the initial right-hander before it tightens up into the final part of it. And I think that final part of it, as it tightened up, you know, I think B4 maybe had a little bit too much speed into it, and it just meant he drifted wide and then drifted into the path of Mizzy, causing the contact. But I, you know, none of it was intentional, and I don't think it will really be. I don't think it will be a penalty for B4 either, as the Welsh Jack, looking to make the move for the lead, goes around the outside of Paolo Afonso down the start finish and gets the move done into turn 1. This is the final lap of the Grand Prix, and Welsh Jack is now very much in the position he would like to finish in, but he has got a charging Alfonso behind him, and he will definitely be not giving this up that easily. So watch out as we get into the next few corners, and keep an eye on your mirrors there, Jack, because that Alfa Romeo is definitely going to be keeping them full for this entire lap.
Yeah, can Afonso try and come back here on Welsh Jack? He is running out of fuel, but I think he should just about have enough to get to the end here. Blaze, even though he's behind Delta, is in line for P3 here. If he can just hang on, they'll come through the final couple of corners towards Spoon. Welsh Jack really has built up a bit of an advantage here over Paolo Afonso. Delta could get through here, but either way, he is absolutely scuppered because he will drop like a stone down the order. But Blades is still in the hunt for a podium here and will surely pick it up when they cross the line in about 15-20 seconds time. But it is Welsh Jack. It's not a man that you would have thought was going to win this race, especially after he was down in P11, P12, but he's recovered well. He's picked up the pieces where others have crumbled, and Welsh Jack comes through the final chicane, through the final corner, and he will win here in Japan. It's close with Paolo Afonso, but he's not quite close enough. Delta will drop to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and he'll settle in 10th, I think. Yes, he will. Just ahead of B4, but it's Blades who picks up the podium. Dylan Baxter and Jacob 4th and 5th. Sora and Mizzy in the end 6th and 7th, with Sivertson and Sam ahead of Delta and B4. Gibson, Shaq, Jack, Imac and Jobbo are in P15, and then we have to wait for Partick to finish the race. But I mean, Ashley, that was a crazy one.
It was. I think that was definitely one of the more eventful races we've had here in GRL, as Partick's sliding his way through a lot of these corners. It looks as though he's having a bit of fun on his way to the checkered flag. But yeah, it was a finish. Definitely it was. Of course, well done to Welsh Jack. It was a very unlikely winner, if you asked me. If you said to me at the beginning who was going to win, because we didn't actually ask each other like we normally do. It was a very odd beginning to this race with the pause, but I definitely wouldn't have thought Welsh Jack would be the one to do it. And like you say, yeah, he really did just pick up where others didn't, and took advantage of the situations in front of him. So good drive, a fantastic drive. He was even facing barrier at one point. Luckily, no damage, but he took the win, took the ball by the horns, and brought it home. So fantastic race from him in the end. And yeah, and as well as Blade, you know, he's had also a brilliant race. Went down to the very back after that incident, turn 1, and he's managed to bring it all the way back to a podium. Very Sebastian Vettel-esque, if you ask me. So he's also had a blinder.
He has had a blinder, absolutely. We'll get the results to you then now. I think Delta's hoping he'll get that penalty removed, but I mean, I'll have to see it just to see. But it was Welsh Jack who wins. Then it's Paolo. I think Paolo actually might be Knocker. We know him as Knocker. Changed his name. Blades 3rd, and then Dylan and Jacob 4th and 5th. I mean, Delta might come 3rd, but we'll have to see the clip. And then we've got Sora, Mizzy, Sivertson, Sam, and Delta. I will just have a quick look at that Delta clip, and then we can work out what we're doing in terms of interviews. He's very confident that his pen is getting removed. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the clip. Because, I mean, I have seen it before where the game does just not give you a 5-second when you weren't speeding. But, I mean, if he was going anywhere close to it, then it will have been speeding. Yeah, very, very good race. I'm just going to ask Welsh Jack. Is your Xbox name the same? Ooh. I mean, that is close. He sent it to me on Xbox, so that's... So he was momentarily under, but I think he may have drifted over again. Oh. Oh, well, no, I think it's literally on 50. Let's see. He was literally dead on 50. But I don't know. Oh, let me just see. I don't know. Let's just see. Um, I mean, the thing is, I'm not gonna say it's getting taken off because he doesn't go under 50. That's the thing. I think he crosses it at 50. Yeah, but he's not. Yeah. Oh. Well, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because it's not gone. Because I've seen a couple where it's gone under, and then it's just kind of given them a drive through when they haven't. Like they've crossed the line at 47 or something, but he's crossed the line at 50. That's that. Like he's not. I've not seen that before. I mean, yeah. Well, either way, I think we're going to wrap it up there just to save us a little bit of time and a bit, we don't know who's coming where, and I think everyone else was on PC anyway. So yeah, we can wrap it up there. Next week we will be in Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix. Myself and Ashley will probably be there for that one. But between now and then, enjoy your week, and we will see when we return in 7 days' time in Spain.